embarrassing, isn't it? Singing in the middle of a record shop. All over you go, where you go, where you go. All over you stay, where you stay, where you stay. All over you go, where you go, where you go. All over you stay, where you stay, where you stay.
Anyone who'd have been in my kitchen this morning would have seen me dancing around to the music of one Mr. John Spillane, who's a musician, a songwriter, a performer, a recording artist, a storyteller, a poet, a dreamer, and a Cork man.
Yes.
So that's a lot of things to be in one sense.
Everybody has a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Homo sapiens, two-legged, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Carrying a brain, around.
You've released a new album. This is the new album.
Yes.
John Spillane.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's called So Far So Good Like. I wanted to call it So Far So Good, but it had been used before by, I think, Brian Adams, or maybe Ryan Adams.
Brian Adams,
Sinead O'Connor, and John Martin. So I call it So Far So Good Like, because I'm from Cork and you can put like at the end of everything.
I was asking questions on Twitter earlier, and Ivan Santry came back with one saying he was in a conversation yesterday about whether you would consider yourself a Cork icon or not.
Yeah. I don't know, for God's sake, that's like asking Bob Dylan, are you an icon? You know what I mean?
But you seem to be very proud of your Cork roots.
I am. No, there's two types of people, positive people and negative people, to be very general. When I was a young fellow growing up in Cork now, there was Cathal Coughlin, was a very good musician there, and he had a band called Micro Disney, which did very well, and a band called Fatima Mansions, and he wrote a lot of songs about saying that Cork was a whole, right? And it was a repressed, backward, grey, miserable place to grow up, priest-ridden, Catholic Church, GAA, teachers, the establishment. And at the same time as he was writing all those songs, I was writing songs about what a beautiful and magical place Cork was. I was writing Princess Street, my ode to Cork, about how beautiful and magical and mysterious it was. So it's in yourself, really. It's not really the place at all.
Right.
Do you get it?
Yep. I was just telling you, listening to MySpace yesterday, I was listening to Begé nach Morach, which is up on your myspace.com/John Spillane, and Oro Shade of Ahawalya is on the new album. Do you have a preference for singing Oscailga?
Well, I learned Irish. I wasn't reared with it, but I learned it in this primary school, secondary school, and university, and in the School of Life down in Culch.ie and Ballyvourna and West Kerry, talking Irish, and Connemara, and it took me years to learn it.
Right.
Because your mother tongue is the one that you kind of speak when you're about 2 without no problem. But the second language took me a long time. But I love the Irish. But I don't have a preference really for singing in Irish. But I do like the Irish, and I would like to see more people talking it, because nobody talks it. I'm one of the very, very small number of people in Cork who actually talk Irish. It's so small, the number. It's fairly pathetic.
But we're in the Tower Records tag off as well, right?
Am I answering too long? Are we talking?
No, you're fine. But I was thinking today, you sing in English, Oscailga. The intonations that you put on your words. I know you say you sing in your own accent. You sing the way you speak, and you don't try to affect an accent.
Yes.
Because when you were younger, you tried, and it was a disaster for you.
I was in a rock and roll band. I was in a few rock and roll bands, and I sang. And rock and roll is American music, really. Unless you make a big point of like some of the British bands now, who sing in their Liverpool accents over rock and roll and all that. So singing, accent is one part of singing. It's an interesting part.
Yep.
And there's a thing going on in Ireland, what I call the accent wars.
Right.
You have now Christy Moore singing very much in his own Kildare accent. You have Damien Dempsey from Dublin singing in his own accent. You have Juliet Turner in the north, the Saw Doctors in the west, me in Cork, and a few people like that. And then everyone else basically sings in phony American accents, which is completely valid as well. You have Van Morrison doing that, and Bono and the Boys, and a lot of other people. So it's interesting. It's one element of singing is accent. And when you get into singing, then you come across it sooner or later, and it's very interesting. The classical singing, the opera, the tenors, they sing in a very put-on, snobby accent, So it's of interest. It's a musical thing.
And another important part would be the words. Now, I was listening to your songs, like The Dunstores Girl, and Balance. What was it? Johnny Don't Go to Ballincollig, covered by Christy Moore on his Vicar Street album. Will We Be Brilliant or What? And especially, I think it came out for me for O Roisin de Bhathawalla. You put a real emphasis or intonation on some words. O Roisin de Bhathawalla in school, right? We learned it, and it's da 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 da. The way you sing it, it's actually the battle cry that it's.
Padraig Pearse wrote that.
Right.
Padraig MacPeirish, and Poet and Revolutionary. It's a huge song. I mean, the air is the drunken sailor, but nobody spots it. You never think it. What will we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Early, whatever that's all about. But Padraig Pearse wrote that song as to welcome volunteers back to Ireland for the 1916 Rising, to drive the British out of Ireland, as he says. And that's very serious stuff, like, and that was the battle and the blood sacrifice, and it worked well for, 3/4 of the country, like. So in a very bloody way, like. But I'm not saying that I'm an anti-violence myself, like. But it's certainly, like, it's a big song, like.
It is a big song.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. It was on your album Songs We Learned in School, which you recorded with the Ballincollig Primary School. You did it in a week.
Yeah, 5 days.
And then it went into the top 10 straight away.
Yeah.
You were on show again.
Mad, yeah.
But what has the reaction to that one been like? I mean, I know you've had 7. This is your 7th album, your 8th album. This one is
7. No.
This is number 7.
Yeah.
And what was it? Your first album was released in 1997, and you signed to EMI on your 40th birthday.
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah. Exactly.
And before that, you were in a load of bands, and you were playing away and whatever. What made you go out on your own?
Well, I'm a slow developer.
Right.
Did you get it?
Okay.
A late bloomer.
Right.
And when I was a young fella, I was very shy. Well, I played bass in bands, and I looked at the ground, and I wouldn't have been talking to the crowd or been a front man.
Yep.
I was never a front man, like. So eventually, I learned various skills of the trade.
Right.
Yep. And one of them was how to write melodies, and one was how to write words, one was how to sing. There's a lot of different things going on, and one thing is how to deal with an audience, and how to engage people in a gig, like. So that was one link in the chain.
Right. Tell me about your album. Tell me about what songs should people listen to.
Well, I'll tell you now. I didn't pick these ones at all. It's called So Far So Good, Like the Best of Me. Fair play to me. Now, there's 2 brand new songs in it. Passage West and Lover's Leap, and I'm delighted with that, to have 2 new, and they're very much Irish ballads in a traditional kind of about places.
Very much so. Lover's Leap, about a Protestant couple, Catholic Protestant. Who decides to take the ultimate leap off a cliff.
Suicide, drowning song from the River Blackwater in North Cork. Yeah. It's a local legend.
Right.
And I heard legend, and I was very moved by it, and it's the most beautiful place, and I was very moved by it, and because I'm into all that kind of folklore kind of stuff, I think as I get older, I'm going to try and write more traditional songs.
Right.
It's an age thing.
Okay.
When you're young, you kind of rebel against it, and you throw all that stuff out, and you try and do something completely new, and then when you get older, you kind of conform.
Right.
Sad but true.
Okay. Have you been surprised by the reaction to any of your songs, like the Dunstores one you released as a single?
Yeah. That was a great hit.
Yeah.
But
did you write it though as a hit, or did you write it just I'll write a song about Dunstores and see what goes on?
It was a challenge from the Dunstores girl, Claire Cogan from Turner's Cross in Cork.
Right.
And she was writing into my website and signing herself to Dunstores girl.
Right.
And her brother was writing in, blogging now like herself.
Okay.
And her brother was writing in, calling himself the Baldy Man.
Okay.
And I replied to them on the guest book of my website at the time, and she said, well, I said, you've got great names, lads, the Dunstores girl and the Baldy Man. You sound like characters out of a song. And she said, well, if you're such a shit-hot songwriter, John Spillane, why don't you write a song about us? So, and I said, I will.
Right.
And so I got the idea, like, of the song called The Dunstores Girl, and I knew you couldn't go wrong, really. You know what I mean? It was very obvious. And I got my friend Louis Dupuer to write the words. I didn't write the words of it, like, and I gave him the commission, you could say.
Yep.
So, it's the kind of, the working class living in the love of the common people.
Yeah.
Check out the Dunstores girl, she's the one who rules my world. I'm gonna walk down the aisle with the Dunstores girl. I'm gonna waltz down the aisle